When I was younger, my mom used to bring home these stacks of DVDs, and I started to notice that a lot of them were still in theaters. I would get so excited because, I got to watch a movie that was still in theaters in the comfort of my own living room. That is until I saw they were recorded by some random fucking guy with a camera. To be fair, all movies are recorded by some fucking guy with a camera, but still. That doesn't matter. It would shake with every single adjustment he made, and you can hear people getting up to use the bathroom and walking in front of the screen whenever they did it. Overall, it just kind of sucked. My mom would say, "Oh, this is a bad cut," and she would take the DVD out of the DVD player and I would never see it again. I didn't really know it at the time, but these were my first experiences with piracy. I never really had an opinion on piracy growing up. I mainly just thought, oh, okay, this is just another way I can watch stuff. In high school, I used to watch tons of Naruto and Kiss Anime and on YouTube in parts. But now, as an adult, piracy is something I strongly advocate for. It's something I do on a normal basis, and I think you should too. Let me explain why. Hi, I'm XO and welcome back to me talking about whatever I want. Today I want to talk to you about the rise and fall of streaming services. I think I can speak for everyone when I say that in the big 2025, they treat their customers like garbage. If you're like me and you pay for a streaming service, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. The price gouging, the ads, the lack of things to watch. To fall from grace, one must first rise. So let's talk about that first. A lot of renting and streaming services used to be pretty fucking good. I know how it looks. I just encourage pirating and then praise streaming. But to be honest, I wasn't always like this. I didn't start out with a mindset that people should be pirating more. In fact, I would say I was pretty excited about streaming and renting videos. Growing up in the early 2000s, I used Redbox all the time. For those of you who don't know what Redbox is, there are these vending machines inside supermarkets, convenience stores, and pharmacies where you could rent DVDs. Every DVD you rented was $1 a night. It was extremely cheap, extremely convenient, and you could rent as many as you wanted. Just imagine planning a date around that. You and that special person, you go to the store, you grab a few snacks, you grab a few movies, you go back to your house, and you Redbox and relax, and all for under $10. Redbox really was something special, but it was only just the beginning. Before it became one of the biggest streaming platforms, Netflix was actually a DVD rental service you could order from the comfort of your own home.
Go to Netflix.com, make a list of the movies you want to see, and in about one business day, you'll get 3 DVDs. Keep them as long as you want, without late fees.
But it had two problems. The first was since they were shipping movies in the mail, it could take up to 4 days before customers could receive their order. Even if someone did decide to try Netflix, the amount of time they were waiting made them reluctant to try Netflix again. And the second issue was people were more likely to rent out the newest releases. Let's say Avengers Endgame gets released on DVD. There's no Disney Plus, so the only way to watch it is to either rent it or to buy it at the store. So you go to rent it. But every time you do, it's always gone. Someone's always got it first, and you're just shit out of luck.
It's easy.
To fix these issues, Netflix came up with a few solutions, some of which they still use today. One was swapping to their subscription model. Instead of just paying the base price for a DVD, you could spend $9 a month to receive one disc at a time. Or you could spend a little bit more money to receive more discs at the same time. For example, $14 for 2 discs, $17 for 3, and so on and so on. Now, this did lock customers into the platform and force them to continue renting movies. But it did eliminate late fees, so you could hold on to that copy of Avengers Endgame for as long as you wanted.
This kicks like a mule with his balls wrapped in duct tape. Wow! Tight, yeah!
They also created a queue which allowed their subscribers to receive their movies much faster. There was no more being out of luck on the movies you wanted, you just had to wait for a little bit. The other big thing Netflix did was start recommending shows to their subscribers. The main goal is to alleviate pressure from new DVD releases while also giving customers more options that they might not normally see. Even today, you might not be seeing the full scope of Netflix's content without using their category codes. This model was a little bit more expensive than Redbox, but you were receiving benefits you wouldn't have received otherwise. The funny thing is, even after all that, Netflix was circling the drain. Netflix's CEO even met with Blockbusters and proposed to sell a 49% stake in Netflix for $50 million and a chance to run Blockbusters' online brand. They just didn't believe Netflix's business model was profitable or added any actual value to the company. Well, they were wrong, because soon after that, Blockbuster removed their late fees, and they were also renting DVDs online. But due to it being such a drastic change to their business model, Blockbuster couldn't really afford it. It increased their cost and reduced their revenue so much that they had to reinstate the late fees. And then that was just the beginning of the company's downfall. In 2007, Netflix began to integrate their streaming platform by bundling it with their DVD subscription. I didn't know this until I started doing research for this video, but apparently Netflix had a set amount of hours you could stream when it first came out. Anyone who paid under $18 only had access to 18 hours of content. In today's world where streaming is the norm, that's not a lot, but 20 years ago when streaming wasn't really that popular, that was a good amount of time. It didn't really matter though, because just a year later, Netflix removed that 18-hour cap and gave its users access to unlimited video streaming. When I tell you that the 2010s were the golden age of streaming, I am not exaggerating. Netflix started making licensing deal after licensing deal, so their catalog of movies and shows became stacked. I'm talking Jenga stacked. I'm talking IHOP pancake stacked. I'm talking the Miami Heat roster in 2010 stacked. How do I even know that? I don't even watch sports. You know what? That's just how stacked the team was. And that's just how stacked Netflix was too. It had things like The Dark Knight, Iron Man, Twilight, The Office, and Friends, not to mention shows from Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, and Cartoon Network. But I wouldn't even call any of those Netflix's biggest selling point. I would say that title goes to Breaking Bad, arguably one of the best shows ever written.
What the hell is that?
Everyone's got a gimmick now.
It was an amazing show on its own, but I don't think it's insane to say that Netflix was a huge contributing factor to how big Breaking Bad was. I mean, the first 4 seasons were on Netflix when season 5 was being released on cable. If you weren't caught up on the previous seasons and you wanted to watch season 5, all you had to do was go on Netflix, binge all 4 seasons, and come back and watch it on AMC. The ratings for season 5 of Breaking Bad were more than double what they were in season 1. It's not even my favorite TV show, but I will take every chance I get to glaze and recommend Breaking Bad to everyone. You go watch Breaking Bad if you haven't seen it. And that's just what Netflix was doing. Other streaming services were on the come up too.
We've created Hulu. Hulu beams TV directly to your portable computing devices, giving you more of the cerebral gelatinizing shows you want anytime, anywhere, for free.
Hulu had a couple of its own really good features that Netflix didn't. You were able to watch shows and movies free with ads, and you got access to network TV shows the day after they aired. Meanwhile, Amazon gave Prime subscribers access to Prime Video for free without increasing their memberships. For the first time in history, you could legally watch what you wanted, when you wanted, without having to deal with cable companies, bundles full of stuff you didn't want, equipment fees, and ads playing every few minutes. In 2013, Netflix released its first original project, House of Cards, and it forever changed the way people saw streaming. It wasn't the most popular show, it gained a small following, but in reality, it was just a test. If people would tune into this original content, why wouldn't they tune into more? So Netflix started to develop more original content. Shows, movies, and eventually games too. A few of them were stinkers, and a few of the projects were abandoned.
Jesus, can we turn on the lights for once?
Some of us have hangovers, all right?
But with each project they made, Netflix got better at producing them, and eventually they started to come out with some really good stuff. Netflix wasn't just buying licenses from studios anymore, they were creating their own content. TV studios started to panic because the only thing keeping them relevant was the fact that they were manufacturing the product and Netflix was a peddler. With streaming services like Netflix manufacturing and selling their own product, they began to build their own media empire. Just like Walter White and Jesse did in critically acclaimed, best written show ever, Breaking Bad. The price of cable was steadily increasing as the 2010s went on. And with streaming services allowing you to watch what you wanted, when you wanted, with no ads, and having their own original content, the choice was pretty clear. People started to cancel their cable subscriptions because streaming just worked, and it was a good time. The golden age lasted for about 10 years and the movies and shows flowed like water. Friends shared accounts to get the most bang for their buck. People saved time and money, no longer having to pay for cable or watch ads, and all for a small fee that didn't feel like it was burning a hole in your pocket. But everything changed in 2019 when TV studios started to realize they should be getting a piece of the pie too. Thus began the fall. Like I said, media conglomerates started to look at Netflix's success and they started to freak the fuck out. Streaming wasn't just a side gig anymore, it was an existential threat to their cable empires. Because of COVID, the only thing people had to do was sit at home and watch TV, and spoiler alert, they weren't watching cable. So between 2019 and 2021, every major studio launched their own streaming platform. Disney, HBO, Apple TV, Peacock, they all wanted to get paid. All of them started ripping their content away from Netflix and Hulu to make their platforms more exclusive. NBC took The Office to Peacock. Warner Bros. Took Friends to HBO Max. Disney took everything Marvel, Pixar, and Star Wars to put it on Disney Plus, including all of the Netflix originals like Daredevil and The Defenders. That unified library that made streaming so appealing was just gone. If you wanted to watch the same variety of content you would enjoy on 1 or 2 services, you would have to subscribe to 6, 7 different platforms to make it work. I hate myself. I'm sorry I did that. Getting all those services starts to add up. I mean, it could cost you upwards of $140 a month for the ad-free tiers, and that's basically just cable. Netflix's plan alone has more than doubled from 2011, going from $8 to $18, and that's gradual compared to everyone else's. Disney Plus launched at $7 and got to $16 in less than 4 years. Apple TV started at $5 and now it's $13. In October of 2023, it felt like all the services raised their prices at the same time. Disney, Hulu, Netflix, and Apple TV all jacked up prices within weeks of each other. And throughout 2024 and 2025, the price increases just kept coming. The reason it felt so coordinated was because, well, it was. Warner Bros. Discovery CFO actually said this: "For a decade in streaming, an enormously valuable amount of quality content has been given away well below fair market value. This is in the process of being corrected. In translation, we were pricing things cheaply to hook you. Now we're going to milk you for everything you got. Not only were users being charged more, they were being charged more for ads. One of the main selling points of streaming was that it was ad-free. So when Netflix brought back ads in 2022, it felt like a betrayal. Disney Plus followed immediately, and by 2024, every single streaming platform besides Apple TV had ads. These were at the default tiers. The lowest tier of a streaming platform you could get had ads. Even Amazon put ads in all their content unless you paid an extra $3 a month to remove it. That service that was free, that came with the subscription you already had, now cost even more. You either watch the commercials or you pay the premium prices, and most people are gonna pay because it's easier. That wasn't the only thing customers were forced to pay for though. Back in like 2017, there was this tweet that went around, and it was Netflix saying that love is sharing a password. 6 years later in 2023, they started to crack down more on password sharing outside the household and even started charging people for it. They discovered that over 100 million people were sharing passwords and they wanted their money. And it worked. They added millions of new subscribers and their revenue skyrocketed. So just to review everything, you're paying $8 a month for Netflix alone. You get ads, you have a limited catalog of shows, and you cannot share it with anyone. That is fucking ridiculous. Just to get rid of the ads is an extra $10 a month, and that's not even including the other streaming platforms you probably want to watch too. How could it possibly get any worse? Well, dear viewer, I'll tell you. Apparently, multiple Amazon subscribers have said that their content that they purchased just disappeared from their libraries. You're probably wondering, what did Amazon say about this? I mean, someone bought a product and then they lost it. It's just gone. Purchased titles may become inaccessible due to licensing restrictions. That's it. That's all they said. It turns out when you press buy on digital content, that doesn't mean you're actually buying it. You're buying the license to allow you to watch it. Warner Bros. Has removed over 60 titles from their platforms. Disney pulled 76 titles from Disney Plus and Hulu. Netflix has completely removed some of their interactive content. These companies realized they could save millions in residual payments and licensing fees if they just deleted content. But knowing that teaches us a very valuable lesson. If buying isn't owning, piracy isn't stealing. That phrase was created back in 2024 after a Ubisoft executive said some really stupid shit. He told gamers they needed to get comfortable with not owning your game. Ubisoft received a mountain of backlash almost instantly. In April of 2024, Ubisoft decided to shut down the servers of their racing game, The Crew, and people were not happy. Anyone who bought the game could effectively not play it anymore. It was literally unplayable. People started just review bombing a ton of Ubisoft games, saying if buying isn't owning, piracy isn't stealing, just on all the comments. It solidified something people were feeling about a lot of digital media. If companies are offering these temporary licenses to people and they're using words like buy and own, then you're not really owning it. So what's the difference between that and pirating it? Both are just forms of temporary access. One you pay for, one you don't, but neither one gives you ownership. And as if it were fate, new information came out while I was writing this video. Netflix is acquiring Warner Bros., including HBO, HBO Max, the entire film studio, and DC Universe for $82.7 billion. What the fuck? The company that disrupted cable and made watching movies more affordable, now just acquired one of the oldest and most powerful studios in Hollywood? Let me just read you some of what Netflix will now have in their catalog. The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, Friends, Harry Potter, and the entire DC Universe catalog, not to mention all of the Warner Bros. Movies and shows. They say it's about offering more choice to consumers, but what it really feels like is a monopoly. Paramount's trying to launch a bid war to try to block them, but I mean, it's probably going to go through. It's not going through to 2026, but still. If they do acquire HBO, they don't need to offer up good value. They don't have to keep prices affordable because where are you going to go? Every time one of these studios scoops up another one, it kind of just gets rid of the illusion of choice, right? Not to be a doomer, but I mean, is everything going to get scooped up into one single streaming platform? Will Netflix just eventually own everything and then the only way to watch the new Batman movie or the new Game of Thrones is on Netflix and they charge you whatever the hell they want? There's only one solution to stop these companies from charging us and monopolizing more and more of our media, and that's to hit them in their wallets. We have to remind them who has the power. We have to go back to the methods we used before we had streaming services. The first is to start buying physical media again. DVDs, CDs, VHS tapes. If you can, download the media to your phones and your computers. And if it's really possible for you, make a Plex server with your friends. It's kind of like the digital equivalent of you growing your own garden. I mean, it's yours, truly yours, to do whatever you want with. Plus, having a physical collection to display is badass, and it's cool to look through people's collections and see what they like. The second method, though? Start pirating. There are so many ways to pirate movies and shows. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. You can watch so many things in HD today. It's free media. Heck yeah. Okay, enough of those hints. If you can't read between the lines, just go to r/piracy and start there. Just start looking there. I'm tired of paying for ads, content I don't enjoy, and media I don't own, and I bet you are too. If you're with me, let's make a pact right now to not pay for it anymore. So viewer, I implore you, Get out there and start stealing more content. This isn't anything new. People have been boycotting and stealing forever. But remember, if buying isn't owning, piracy isn't stealing. If you made it this far, tell me your favorite way to pirate things in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, like and subscribe. It lets me know you do, and it's super helpful. I also have all my socials down in the description if you want to see more than just my videos. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good morning, evening, and night.